But seriously, there's no TV in there. And one of the things that I'm very specific about is sort of mixed use. And this is a trap that entrepreneurs fall into a lot, a whole lot. Like only two things happen in the bedroom here. The only two things, and those are the only two things that happen. But a lot of entrepreneurs suffer because they do work in bed, or they do work in the bedroom. They're writing content there, or they're talking to clients. I'm never going to sit on the edge of my bed and have a conversation with a client.
This is the Online Trainer Show, Trainer Show, Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show.
We shouldn't have a podcast. Jonathan, now how long have you not shaved? Like how long has it been since your last shaved? How long since the last incident occurred?
6 hours.
Jonathan's a mic. The one thing that we depend on in the podcast is our microphone being connected. And that's the only thing that Jonathan didn't do before he came here today. So, Jonathan, can you?
My mic not on?
Oh yeah, we got you now. Yeah. So how many days for you does that follicular development represent? What is that like?
6 hours.
6. So mine is like 2 weeks. My 2 weeks.
You haven't met very many Eastern European men, have you?
It's ironic that you say that, Jonathan, because the business that I fled from to get to the personal training industry, my boss, and I'm just gonna say he would say not to call him boss. He would say to call him an associate because he's Russian, and Russians like to say things like that are very. They have a vernacular that I don't want to stereotype an entire group of people. I won't do that. However, I will say in this case, Yaroslav Bittman was a Russian-born Jewish immigrant. He just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Slav, if you're out there listening. And the man
name again? Yaroslav
Bittman. Yaroslav.
That is
Bittman.
a very, very, very European Jewish name.
It's super European. Like it's excessively European. But Slav could come in clean shaven on a Wednesday, and Thursday morning he had a full beard. Like it was like.
Well, my dad used to have to shave twice.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
My
He would
God.
shave in the morning, then he'd shave before lunch in the afternoon.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy right there.
Headed to my lunch shave, guys. I'll see you guys after we eat. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. This is the extent. This is weeks and weeks of extensive work. I've been massaging my cheeks. I've got a little. I mixed some Miracle Grow with some Pantene Pro V supplements. Rub that on the cheeks too, and it's just not happening. If there are any chemists out there that want to help me grow a full and manly beard, submit to the show. All your beard. I'd like to hear. Make sure you send this to Amber Reynolds, amber@theptdc.com. I'd like to hear your suggestions for full masculine beard for Ren Jones. I'm in a perpetual state of adolescence, and it's just the puberty just won't kick all the way over yet. Like it's like there's a gear missing, or so. I don't have the clutch down. I don't know how to describe it, but I can't shift to that last gear of manhood through puberty, and I just can't get my voice still cracks sometimes. I just can't get all the way.
Have we started the episode yet?
Yeah,
Yes.
we started it. Yeah, absolutely.
Is this it?
Yeah, this is the product that we are presenting to the listening audience right now, Jonathan.
This is an embarrassing product.
It's like he hasn't been here the other 109 episodes.
It's a legitimately embarrassing product. I feel like I just woke up after a long sleep and realized that I'm still in my nightmare.
Oh man, you've got a beard like you just woke up from a long sleep, Rip Van Winkle.
Well, Canada won't freaking open haircuts still.
Oh, really?
We
No,
can't
not
get
in our
haircut.
province. Nope.
We can't get our haircut. We're at stage 2 of our 4-step, 3-step plan.
Oh, I remember the steps. I remember the steps of your process.
Even though we've hit all of the requirements to be in step 3, we're not yet in step 3. They're contemplating moving up step 2 2 days earlier, and not even talking about step 3. And there's no word of step 4 yet, which is actually opening up things.
You just adequately described.
Nobody really seems to have thought about that. Can you ask the mayor about that? Actually, has there been any thought and consideration into step 4 yet?
You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that, because my daughter every morning, Deb, when are they opening my hair salon? Like, she's so pissed off. And he's like, dude, I can't decide. I don't make that call. Like, how many times do I have to tell you? So it's like they're bickering every morning.
The worst part is, so my sister was a commercial litigator for many, many, many years, and her job was to take down like illegal satellite providers and people who were bootlegging movies and stuff like that.
Oh, that was me.
And so she could never bootleg music or movies.
Oh, that's awful.
Can you imagine if you had to actually pay for all the music you listened to? Like, that would have been a lot of money back in the day. And so her husband, of course, before like they got together, obviously, like every other human being in the planet that doesn't work for the law firm that represents the company that takes down people doing this illegally, had illegal music and movies, and then had to stop the illegal movies and the music. Fortunately, she's not in it anymore. Now they just bootleg the shit out of everything. But what sucks about living with the mayor of the town is that, like, you can't skirt around the protocols. Like, if you get caught, like, not following the protocols, like every other person in Ontario,
right?
Yep.
Then you're going to get called out on that. Like, that's a serious problem. So your kids are going to be just haggard, like disgusting, unclean, unkempt. Like, they're going to be going to school, and people are like, "Yo, you haven't gotten a haircut, you haven't worked out, you haven't done anything for like years," and they're like, "It's still COVID." People are like, "You're still following those rules," and they're like, "We have to."
Oh my God!
Like,
it's true. It's absolutely true, and we all know how I feel about rules, so it's a thing. It's a thing. It's a conflict here at home. That's all I'm gonna say.
Don't forget the scurvy, John. I feel like you left out the scurvy, because Carol's kids are also been suffering with a year-long scurvy incident in the Belmontes household. You know, it's funny, John, because the protocol for Canada to move out of it, so COVID restriction, it very, very loosely mirrors my dating in my 20s and 30s. Being qualified for step 3, but not being able to move into it, and my desire to rush into step 4. This hits a little bit too close to home for me. I don't like this conversation, so I'm going to move on to some other nonsense, because it reminds me a lot of my romantic life over the past several decades. You think you're qualified for step 3, but no, step 2, step 2. That's all you get. Now, what is it? Oh, and we may talk about things that happened in the bedroom today. Calm down. We're talking about sleep. Guys. Yeah. Or maybe we will trip over into more sophisticated and adult topics. Maybe. Don't know.
Amber's like, no.
Don't know.
No.
Amber's disgusted by the thought. But the sheer insinuation has her. Amber's going to turn her sound off for this podcast, like most of them. Jonathan, I saw you posted some more exciting news. You're such a tease, that Goodman. When people say, "What's Jonathan Goodman like?" I immediately say he's such a tease. So you've been teasing out these bits of information about the platform that you're working on closely. He let out a list of what I thought was maybe NFL Hall of Fame candidates the other day that have been associated with the development of this this software that's going to simplify things. I think I saw like a Joe Montana on there, and maybe a Mike Tyson. This is Sports Hall of Fame list. So what was the need? Why did you talk to all these people? That's what I want to know. Like, who were these people? Are they leaders in the industry, or and why did you talk to them? And why did you tag them? I found it annoying that I wasn't tagged in it somehow, because I feel like we've talked about it, but I didn't find myself on the list. So what's going on there? Can you enlighten us?
Sure. I have said many times before that if you keep an idea to yours, there's a couple pieces to it actually.
Okay.
I've spent the last month basically on the phone, and I'll spend the next month probably on the phone, speaking to as many really just smart, experienced people working on our industry as I can get a hold of. Fortunately, my network is pretty strong over the years. I've been able to build connections with people over the years. And so there's been quite a few people, and a bunch of them certainly are luminaries in the field.
Can I stop you right there, Jonathan? Let me stop you right there, friend. Did anybody else here get a phone call? None of us?
No, I'm so hurt.
Right, so first of all, that's bullshit, Jonathan. But continue with your little story. Go ahead. I'm going to let you finish. Go ahead. But Beyonce had the hottest album of the year. I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead, Jonathan. Tell your story. Whatever.
So what I was trying to say is I've been trying to talk to good people who have been in the industry for a while, and
I feel attacked.
Trying to accomplish a few things. One is you never really understand your idea until you talk about it in circles over and over and over again. Like try to describe your idea to 50 different people over the course of 3 weeks who have never heard about it before. You are going to get damn good at describing your idea, at talking about your idea, at explaining your idea, and at better understanding your idea yourself. It's also really, really interesting to see what aspects of the idea and the description people respond to with increased energy, what they perk up, what they subconsciously respond to, which gives you a lot of hints. The other is when you start talking about something that you're excited about an idea, opportunities arise. Right. And this concept of people like, oh, I have something that I think is going to change the world. It's like, well, first of all, it's not. But second, you don't need to hide it from the world. Like if what you think that what you have is like the most important thing ever, somebody else has thought about it before. Like it's not unique. And it's probably not that good of an idea. It might be in your head, but it's probably not objectively that good of an idea. And so I think you should always talk about it to people. And when you start talking about it very openly, new opportunities start to open up themselves, which is really interesting. And so, in talking about the idea to a bunch of people, I've been introduced to a bunch of other people, right? And that's kind of how it works. A lot of what I do, I mean, I'm looking in the next few years to open up a whole series of businesses. And I won't tell you what they are yet, but basically opening up a whole series of businesses. And like, I'm not going to run any of them myself. What I'm doing is finding people who are experts in these businesses and funding them and giving an engine to them. And it's all people. Everything's people. I care to understand enough about a subject, call it the 80-20 principle, to be able to identify talent in that subject and make decisions. My job is really to make probably 15 to 20 decisions a year, right? And find good people.
Right.
It's not anything other than that. And so one of the best ways to do this is to speak to a whole bunch of people, meet a whole bunch of people, and then get introduced to other people who are really experts in this thing looking for new opportunities. The final one, though, which is probably most appropriate here, is if you start marketing something when it's ready, you're 4 to 6 months too late, probably even too late for that. And if you try to reach out to people, we've spoken about this on this podcast before, if you try to reach out to people and you're like, hey, I've got this thing, will you go and promote it for me? Like, nobody's going to take your call, nobody's going to be interested in it. But if you reach out to people way ahead of time and you're like, hey, I've got this thing, I've got this prototype, like I've actually done some work into it, right? Like not just I have an idea, but like I've got this prototype. But I'd really love to have a chat with you if you have a few minutes. And learn more about what you do to be able to continue to refine the prototype and the software that we're building. So now I'm having an initial conversation. At the end of the conversation, then it is, hey, when the prototype's a little bit further in development, can I get some feedback on it? Now I have all of these people who have been involved in the process of making this thing a reality, right? Have some ownership in it, have given feedback on it, have known about it for many, 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 many months. Well, that makes it a lot easier for word to spread about that thing when that thing is ready. And so this process of reaching out and speaking to people far in advance and asking their feedback on it goes for your programs too. Like it's 100% a marketing process, but it's a really respectful marketing process, but it's also a innovation process. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm really trying to nail down right now are what's called use cases. So it's very, very clear that every single trainer does every single thing that they do differently from every other trainer. Like we all do stuff, we all call things different names. We all operate our businesses differently. We all have different priorities in it. Mm-hmm. We like different videos. We like different descriptions. We put together our programs differently. We have different array of services. Like I have yet to find a single piece of overlap, right? But what people are trying to accomplish is generally the same. Mm-hmm. So how they accomplish it is often very, very different. But what they're trying to accomplish, there's a fair amount of overlap. And so that's called the use cases. So what I'm trying to identify here and just make sure we don't miss anything is what are those use cases? And you got to talk to a lot of people and kind of analyze those conversations to figure that out. So that's what I've been doing. And yeah, it's been a really fun process. It's been a great networking process. It's a great way to reconnect with people I've known for a long time. And it's also a great way to get to know people who I don't know yet. Mm-hmm. Right? People who I'm connected to on Instagram, for example, or Facebook, or whatever it is, where we haven't chatted. Like, this is a great opportunity to reach out. And instead of saying, hey, can we go get a virtual coffee? Like, I have a prototype about something and I'd like your help with it. Is a way better way to reach out to somebody and get to know them. And now I have new friends. Right?
That makes sense.
Everything in this world is about network, is about relationships. And that's where I'm spending the majority of my time. I mean, most of my time is people. Even though I don't feel things, I recognize the importance of having people in my network and caring for them and wanting them to succeed.
So bottom line for me, am I getting tagged in the post or not? Because I was listening for that and I didn't hear that anywhere in the description of what you said. Like, can you just tag me as a luminary, as an industry insider who helped you with this? And I believe Keto and Amber deserve a tag as well. Just, you don't have to answer now on the podcast. I don't want you putting you on the spot. We can circle back around to it off air.
No, I can answer now on the podcast.
No. I think,
he's like, and that's going to be a no for me.
Yeah, I think I don't want you to answer it on the podcast. So, as you guys can tell from listening up until this point, we're talking about sleep today on the podcast. The importance of sleep is obvious by the first 45 minutes of what we discussed here today, that we came to talk to you about sleep. And it's important. We want to start discussing sort of some and this is not exclusively by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not telling you we're switching what we do here on the podcast, but we do want to discuss some non-business business. I said that like my uncle Calvin. Boy, get out there and handle your business. We do want to discuss some non-business related. It slips out from time to time. Some non-business related items here on the podcast, because these are things that from an outlying standpoint do lead to being quality business people. One of those things is sort of the false idea that entrepreneurs don't sleep. Like, you shouldn't get rest. It's all about the work. And Jonathan doesn't sleep now regularly, but the rest of us sleep pretty well. So, and then from a physical standpoint, as coaches who coach people for optimal health, sleep is a part of that. So we're going to talk to you guys about some sleep and entrepreneurship and how being well rested and prepared can increase the efficiency of what you do.
And we're going to do this from the mindset and from the experience of like real people with real lives.
Right.
Like, one of the things that I always laugh is when some like 22-year-old life coach tells you about their productivity and sleep habits. And it's just like,
nope.
You know what, you asshole? You don't know anything about anything. like you know nothing about life. Like, let's just leave it at that. Like I get that you like to wake up in the morning and you refuse to use an alarm because it breaks your natural sleep patterns. Right? So you make sure that you get up naturally, and then you sit up in bed and you take 3 or 4 cleansing breaths. And then you start filling out one of your 2 journals by your bedside. right?
Yep.
To prepare yourself mentally for the day. You know, get out all those bad thoughts out of your head and organize your mind. And then you, and then you stretch and do very purposeful yoga for 10 minutes before making your way to the kitchen and mixing your matcha green tea in a ceremonial way, of course. And then sit down to a nice, you know, breakfast of steel cut oats and cacao nibs. Like, I get that. That's what you do, right? Maybe once a week, but you say you do it every day. And that's cool. But let me tell you what things are like when you have kids and a family and a real job. Because I don't think you've ever experienced what actual life is like. And so what I want to do in this episode is actually talk to you about, like, probably nighttime habits and then I guess morning habits if we have time for it, from like people who actually have responsibility. It seems like that's missing, I think, in our, you know, kind of information age. I don't know. It's just funny whenever you see it.
So Jonathan, you're saying real
buddy,
talk.
You don't know nothing about nothing.
Nothing about nothing. So you're gonna real talk him today, Jonathan. This is the real talk episode. Real talk about sleep. Okay. I'm interested to hear this real talk. You know, and Keto chimed in obviously an hour after we decided on the subject matter of the podcast, which is her way. It's her right as Catalina Belmont is. And she said she's very well rested, and she'd love to chime in about this topic. But Jonathan and everybody here except for me, I'm interested to hear about the balance of parenthood and sleep as well, and you're juggling that with entrepreneurship, which is your other kid. So you only got one kid, Fitness Jones Training, but you guys have actual, you know, human children, and you've got entrepreneur kid, you know, named after your business. So, Jonathan, you know, talk to us about sleep from the sort of new father perspective. You know, how important is it? How do you get it? What's life like without it? But leave some space for Keto because she's got some things to share too. We don't want to squeeze her into the last 3 minutes of the show.
Well, I mean, from a new father perspective, it's just not going to happen. So give up on it. Right. That's number one.
Just quit. Quit early.
Just quit, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even have a solution from any father. Like when your kid's less than 2, like I don't have anything for you. You're screwed, basically. But you know, take it when you can get it, of course. Allison and I, you know, I was fortunate. Allison and I have a good relationship, and she's also just a boss. And so once every few weeks for a while, I would often sleep and like catch up somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, a few different times I rented a hotel room, like if we were somewhere overseas, like I rented a hotel room, like down the street, and just had like a good night's sleep. But, I think what I really want to talk about now is just making sure that you kind of get everything in and like how you can get it in, particularly at night. Like number one is I don't like having any electronics in my bedroom. Mm-hmm. And so like the Casio watch is great because that's my alarm, right? No phone as an alarm, like none of that shit. You just don't want anything buzzing, beeping. We don't have a TV in our room. Well, we don't have a TV in our house, but we don't have a TV in our room. We don't have anything flashing. We have no lights. We have nothing in our bedroom. Like to me, a bedroom is like a sanctuary type place. Right. And so, when we get up to it, right, it's business time, you know what I'm saying? And then it's sleep time. But, oh my gosh. But there's a foam roller in there. And so often what we'll do right now, at least, is Calvin really likes going in the bath. So Calvin, you know, we'll put Calvin in the bath and then I'll like foam roll and stretch while he's in the bath. Mm-hmm. And that'll really kind of shut me down, right, for the night. And then we'll go and read books for him. And then I always read fiction before bed, physical books if I can get my hand on it, like Kindle if I obviously I'm traveling or something like that. But like light fiction, I was reading the Game of Thrones series for a while, and I found it was just making me dream about like raping and pillaging and killing. And so I just had to stop that. There's a lot of like really nasty stuff that happens in those books. Oh my God. And so I couldn't read that before bed. But like great fiction, for sure is great. And then, you know what? That's more or less my nighttime routine. Like the most important thing for me is just no electronics in the bedroom.
Right.
God, that makes a difference. Allison comes in with her phone sometimes. It's like, no wonder you're not sleeping well. Like,
Right. Indeed. You know, Keto, from your, how are you so well rested? That's what I want to ask you. You said
I got tricked.
you exclaimed to be, you know, incredibly well rested. You know, to the extent that you can share information with us that does
Yes.
not compromise future mayoral campaigns. Tell us some of your methods for being well rested. We don't want to dash anybody's political hopes with this answer. So just keep it as PC as you can here, Keto. But seriously, like, how do you balance, you know, establishing, on top of everything else, you're establishing a fairly new relationship, you know, and that requires like people want to talk, and you got, you know, new thing. You've got a bonus child now, bonus daughter, right?
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
So that's another balance. How do you stay well rested?
Yeah.
What do you give us thy secrets, O queen and goddess of the garden?
My secret is boundaries.
Boundaries, okay.
And what that looks like is that, and this is very real, and maybe some people listening will be able to relate to what I'm about to say, but poor sleep affects me in a way that I cannot even describe. It can actually send me into a spiral of depression.
Yeah.
Being sleep deprived messes with my brain like you have no freaking idea. And so that's something that I protect with a fury. Like, I will protect my need to sleep, because otherwise I know that I'm going to pay for it. My family's going to pay for it. My productivity is everything is going to crumble down if I don't sleep properly. And so what that looks like for me is, it's obviously more difficult when kids are younger. That's absolutely true. When they're babies, I never bought into the whole let them cry it out. That never sat well with me, and I never allowed to let my babies cry themselves to sleep. I always co-slept. They were with me in bed, and those were very exhausting and very trying times for sure. But now my youngest one is 4 years old, and for at least a year now, I would say, she's been a wonderful sleeper, just like her sisters. And what that looks like in our family is that I am very clear with my boundaries, and I actually explain to them the reason why it's important. So, for example, when you know, bedtime rolls around, it's like, for me, it's like clear cut. Hey, girls, bedtime, come on, let's go brush teeth and all that stuff. And for the most part, like, I would say 90% of the time, they're just like, do this, go to bed, the end. That's it. I don't hear from them again until the next morning, which is wonderful. And the way that we get there is that, like I said, I'm very clear about the reasons why. There are a few times when, you know, they're rowdy, they want to keep playing, or they're bugging each other, or they don't want to settle, or whatever. And I feel myself start losing patience, because that's kind of like my first step into losing my cool entirely. Because if you think about it, when you're a parent, you're on the whole day. You're on because you're educating, you're guiding, you're refereeing, you're doing whatever it is. So you're on. And that takes a lot of energy. So by the time nighttime rolls around, I'm done. I don't have that patience and that energy anymore. And I let them know. I'm like, you know what, girls, I'm really feeling myself getting frustrated right now. And this is going to end badly for all of us if we don't say, and they settle down, because it's a clear boundary. It's like, you're about to push me beyond, and there's no coming, like, I'm going to be yelling, Mom, and you're going to go to bed crying, and it's going to be a shit show for everyone. Nobody wants that. Let's cut it out. And they do, they cut it out. And I also, I'm very forthcoming with my own struggles. I'm like, the reason that it matters to me that you go to bed right now is because when we don't sleep properly, our brain doesn't function as well as it could the next day.
Right.
And that, for me, it looks like, you know, when I get in a really bad mood, you know, when I'm yelling at you all the time, when you get in trouble with me because I'm just like exploding all the time, that's what that looks like. And we don't like that. We don't like that version of mom. So let's not do that. And they totally get it. They completely understand it. And they know when they've reached the boundary, and they immediately kind of like pull back and they do what they need to do. And that's my secret, like a lot of communication about like where I am, where my patients is at, what my expectation is of them, and the reason why we don't push beyond.
I've got a follow-up question, Keto, and I think this is something that the listeners really want to know. Petty Keto versus Sleepy Keto. Who murders who in a death match?
Oh
If it's
my
no
God,
holds
that's a
barred,
great
fight to the death, does Petty Keto win that fight, or she get murdered by Sleepy Keto? What are your thoughts? Share with us.
Wow, that I'm gonna have to ponder on that. I'm gonna sleep on that. Haha, see what I did there?
I see what you did. That's very clever, Keto. I don't know how you didn't get tagged on Jonathan's list with clever, witty repartee like that. Amber, I'm going to come to you because we know how much you like to talk on podcasts unannounced and without any warning at all. What?
Yes.
Yeah, it's your favorite. That's right. But if you're going to have the delts out, Amber, you just need to expect that people are going to call on you. It's good for ratings, damn it. So, is it cheaper? You have no.
a lot.
Yeah, is Nate a sleeper? And how does sleep work for you, Amber? You're basically the mythological Atlas holding up the planet that is the PTDC on your shoulders. So if you don't sleep, everybody dies and starves. So
my Halloween costume.
Yeah. So what's your sleep strategy? Does it work for you? Do you get enough? What are your thoughts?
So the interesting thing with Nate is since he has autism, sleep is often like an issue for kids who have that. And so it can be great sometimes and he'll sleep 12 hours, but it's super unpredictable. So routine is extremely important to both of us. And the more that we stick to that, the better. So that's certainly one thing. And we co-sleep, and that helps both of us. If I try to put him anywhere else, he does not sleep. So we are like burritoed in together all night long, and that's really the only way that we can sleep. And we do the opposite, kind of what John does. I can't sleep without noise because of anxiety in the brain, constantly talking at night. And so part of our routine is actually put on Big Bang Theory at night because I've literally seen all of the show at least 30 times, and so I don't need to watch it, and so it helps me fall asleep. Because if I try to read a book, it activates my brain, and I get excited and want to do work. So
that's kind of like me asking Allison if she wants to watch a terrible movie that both of us have seen before.
I've seen the movie all the time. I have to rewatch it, but specifically Big Bang Theory. I love the show. It's my favorite show, but I can let it go. I don't need to watch it to fall asleep. So it's good background noise. And then one of my favorite things to help me wake up is my sunrise clock, because it gradually changes the light in the room. So it's not like terrifying to wake up to like a lot of alarms are. And that when I got that made a huge difference.
Ah, that's amazing. So let me check the schedule and see how much time we have. Did you see how classy I used that schedule? That's very classy. People are like, oh my gosh, he went to Oxford? No, I didn't. But I say things classy like that, and you can't tell. It's very interesting that everybody talked about routine. Because one of the things that I like to coach my clients with, because I'm working with moms, is sleep. And one of the keys to me helping them get better sleep, one of the first things we do is, hey, let's get a sleep routine established. Let's get some type of ritual established that helps you figure out that it's time to go nighty-night. So it's very interesting that everybody mentioned that their routine. Jonathan with bathing and foam rolling, and Keto with threats of murder in our household, and of course Amber with having a schedule. But that would work on me. If
none of this surprises me.
Right.
All of us are completely aligned with our brand.
It's very on brand.
This is great. This is great.
If I could have written before what I thought everybody would say in terms of this is what I would have written down.
Amber literally like there's a fire in the background and it relaxes her
Right.
because this is fun. I'm like All right, I'm just gonna like chill out a little bit, and Carolina's like, die now. and when we know nothing about. So this is exactly how it's supposed to go.
And I remain the enigma, unknown to man. So but in all seriousness, I have a sleep ritual too. Like I set a bedtime alarm, and it automatically goes into a wake up alarm because I have my day planned out so far in advance. One of the benefits, one of the reasons I can do that is because I'm not managing a little person in my home, right? Like I know enough to understand that would probably be out of the window to a certain extent if I was not only dealing with the variables that will pop up in my life, but the variables that pop up in a child's life. So having that sleep ritual, I too don't have a television or electronic device in the bedroom, other than my computer. But one other thing that I like to make sure of,
that totally counts.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the computer's on. It's closed and it's away from.
I don't have anything electronic in my bedroom other than my computer and my phone.
That's on.
My iPad, of course.
Computer, phone, iPad,
and I've got these fluorescent lights that I can't figure out how to turn off.
A Google Play device, like the little Google thing. Alexa, some Hasbro Transformers from 1985. Right. But other than those electronics, I mean, I've got just the necessary electronics in my room. But seriously, there's no TV in there. And one of the things that I'm very specific about is sort of mixed use. And this is a trap that entrepreneurs fall into a lot, a whole lot. Like only two things happen in the bedroom here. The only two things, and those are the only two things that happen. But a lot of entrepreneurs suffer because they do work in bed, or they do work in the bedroom. They're writing content there, or they're talking to clients. I'm never going to sit on the edge of my bed and have a conversation with a client. Like my client calls happen in an appropriate space, and I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment in the city. But my client calls are going to happen in an appropriate space. I don't even have them on my couch. My couch is for relaxing. There's a desk that I sit at that's for client calls. One thing you have to watch out for as an entrepreneur in terms of mixing the use of a space, particularly the bedroom, is that when your body goes into that space, it needs to have limited options of what you do in that space, as limited as possible. You can sort of create a predictable, automated response that your body will go into by knowing, oh, this is the room where we blank. It's another reason why people have sleep clothes, right? Why they have pajamas. I hate pajamas, by the way. It's the worst invention ever in life. I freaking hate being fully, like, who puts on pants to get in the damn bed? That's just so ridiculous to me. But in any case, so I'm mostly dressed like Winnie the Pooh in my bedroom. But in any case, what I'm trying to say is, Amber's trying to get the image. Amber's trying to cast the image from her head. No, you're stuck with that, Amber. And it's a red shirt, too. So imagine deeper, please. But what I'm saying is, when you go into that space, your body will present an automatic response, right? You'll start to go from sympathetic nervous system to parasympathetic, from your fight or flight nervous system to your rest and digest nervous system. And that's what you want when you're an entrepreneur. Be very, very careful about mixing the use of your bedroom space, because you don't want your brain getting turned on to think about all the tasks that you have for work. As soon as you cross the threshold of that room, it can be really, really problematic. So I too have a sleep ritual. Now you guys know something about me. You've got the visualization of me wearing nothing but a shirt. You're welcome.
You know what else I know about you?
What's that?
You know what else
Jonathan?
I know about you?
What's that?
Is that you recite to yourself a poem by A.A. Milne every time before you go to bed.
That's exactly what I do.
You say, wherever I am, there's always Pooh. There's always Pooh in me. Whatever I do, he wants to do. Where are you going today, says Pooh. Well, that's odd, because I was too. Let's go together, says Pooh, says he. Let's go together, says Pooh. Let's look for dragons, I said to Pooh. Yes, let's, said Pooh to me. We crossed the river and found a few. Yes, those dragons are
What
right,
is
said Pooh.
happening right
As
now?
soon as I saw their beaks, I knew that's what they are, said Pooh, said he. That's what they are, said Pooh. Let's frighten the dragons, I said to Pooh. That's right, said Pooh to me. I'm not afraid, I said to Pooh, and I held his paw and I shouted, shoo, silly old dragons, and off they flew. I wasn't afraid,
God.
said Pooh, said he. I'm never afraid with you.
Do you not have the nobody here had the ability to make that stop.
Let's never do that again.
Oh my God. Thank you for that. Oh, what an appropriate response. I don't know what just took place on the online training show. But fortunately,
So shall we go?
Fortunately, it's time for us to end the show. Oh my gosh. Let's do some. By the way, that poem was sponsored by the Online Trainer Academy. Write poems and recite them responsibly, just the same way that Jonathan Goodman does. And we want your nighttime ritual to be an online trainer. Study how to coach clients responsibly and profitably through the Online Trainer Academy. OnlineTrainer.com/OTA. We're ready to sleep with you. I don't think that came out right.
It's like, no, we can't use that.
Let's retract that one. Let's circle.
We're ready to be bedfellows? No, that's not good either.
I don't think
we're
that's
ready
good either.
to. We're ready
We're
to.
raised if we're using that.
I think it's more so like let's do work in the sheets together. Is that more appropriate?
We're ready to. Yeah, no, that one's not good either. We're ready to hide under the covers.
I feel like we're close, Jonathan. I'm almost there. Keep going.
We're ready to spoon. We're ready to spoon. We will be
there.
your big spoon. You can be our little spoon, and we will keep you safe from the dragons and the nightmares at night.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Dressed like Winnie the Pooh.
No!
Spooning. It's not just for cereal anymore. How about that one? So
The Online Trainer Academy, onlinetrainer.com/academy. Spooning. It's just not for cereal anymore.
there you go. That's very good. I'm gonna write that one down. If you want show notes from this, and I don't know why you would, but if you do, you can go to onlinetrainer.com/podcast. We've got all the important show notes for you, the highlights of this incredible production that you just witnessed. And we'll be back next week. Oh, I won't be back. Hey, I'm going to see the Mouse, guys. I'm going to Disney. It's going to be a big deal. And so the next couple of episodes will be. Are you guys going to call it like the second one without Ren, or I can phone in some sound bites and Amber can just play them as you guys do it.
Perfect.
I'll phone in a chuckle, and I'll phone in a what, and I'll phone in a Love Boat story, and that's basically all I do here on the podcast. That will cover all of my contributions to the podcast, and I see why Jonathan doesn't resonate with Love Boat. He's got no TV in his house. It's on Paramount Plus, Jonathan. I'll send you a link to download Paramount Plus so you can enjoy Love Boat as well, because I know you're missing it, man. I
missed that email.
Yeah. Anybody want to do the thing at the end? Anybody want to do the thing that closed out the show? Just me? All right.
No, I mean, I feel like it's played out.
All right. Okay. Jingle then.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show.
We shouldn't have a podcast.